proud to present the fourth episode of the Trending Echoes podcast, filmed and recorded from the Global Media Congress here in Abu Dhabi on the 16th of November. With us today we have Jason Moore, a former naval officer, a food entrepreneur, a researcher on the most important compound that we drink, and also a general expert on bottled water and the environment. Jason, welcome to the Trending Echoes podcast. We're delighted to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Stephen.
In the research that we did before this podcast, we found something very interesting, which is the way that you're described. So inevitably, I have to ask you about this. Can you explain how it came to be that you're known as the water guy?
Absolutely, Stephen. Thank you for having me today in this podcast at this very special media event here in Abu Dhabi. So, I'm sitting in Silicon Valley one day with a media guru named Laszlo Horvath. He was an early AOL employee after Harvard Business School and a great friend. And I get a text message from Abu Dhabi. It's Anne-Marie McQueen. She used to be with the national newspaper. And it said, Jason, I'm here with with somebody who knows you. She knows you as the water guy. And Laszlo heard me say that, read the text message. He goes, that's your new brand.
Wow.
And that was several years ago. And so now it's become widely known that I'm the water guy here in the UAE and even abroad in the United States. So it's water is from water all living things were made. So I'm proud of that brand that I was given.
And it was free.
Exactly. Can't beat that.
Oh, that's fantastic. We often think about water, and some of the statistics that I've also seen on your website, the Antarctic, 60% of global water resources. It's incredible. Does that account for water in the oceans as well, or is that just fresh water?
90% of the freshwater reserves are in Antarctica, and that's fresh water. It's a really eye-opening number for sure.
All those big lakes and rivers, just 10%.
That's unbelievable.
Incredible. In the year of COP, naturally we have a tendency to relate everything to carbon footprints, emissions reduction, mitigation of the worst effects of climate change. And it came to my mind that also, water in particular, bottled water, must have a varying carbon footprint, because there's quite a lot involved. There's the plastic, there's the air travel if it comes by air or by ship. And so, how would you characterize the different types of water in terms of their carbon footprint?
Okay, this is an interesting question. Typically, bottled water comes by ship because it's so heavy and it just wouldn't make sense financially or with the carbon footprint to fly the water. But just last night, a study was finished by a team of 6 brilliant students.
Here in Abu Dhabi?
Here in Abu Dhabi, NYU. They did a study, and it's 5 of the students. I'm going to tell you who they are because they're brilliant. Catherine Holland, Jonathan Hu, Harihan, Janadanan, Maxine, did the research, and there was one other. And Victor's going to help get this result that I'm getting ready to tell you, this very special announcement. Victor's going to help get this report out to the media, Victor and Catherine. So if anyone's interested in finding out how they came up with this carbon footprint study, then please go to jasonthewaterguide.com, and we will have a way for you to reach out to them, because it will really show something that people don't know about when it comes to how does water equate to a carbon footprint. So are you ready for the results, Stephen?
Absolutely.
All right. People do know that desalination uses a lot of energy. All the local municipal water and all the local bottled water in the UAE is desalinated. For the tap water, it doesn't have to be put in a bottle, so the carbon footprint is less. And it's actually relatively very low compared to the other three types. So let's talk about four types. You have the municipal tap water. You have the local, let's say, small bottle of water, a local small bottle of water. Let's say a European brand small bottle of water coming from Europe. And then lastly, the same size, 330 ml small glass bottle coming from Europe. Right. So that's the four types we're going to talk about. The local municipal tap water, compared to the other three with the bottles, has a very low carbon footprint. However, if it has to travel, let's say, for example, from Fujairah far through the Abu Dhabi Emirate, or if it has to travel very far, that will make the carbon footprint more in line with the European or even local bottled water, bottled by the source.
Yeah. It's energy.
Sorry?
It's the energy used, right?
The energy used to desalinate it. Yeah. And then there's energy, but the biggest amount of energy used on this 330 size, the biggest energy used for local water would be to transport it over a long distance.
So the pumps.
Yes. Yeah. Then you talk about by the way, I'm going to go in terms of ranking. So that's the lowest carbon footprint so far, by the way. And when the final study is 100% complete, we will offer it to the media. The plastic bottle, which we use an example, this Lanjaron brand from Spain, we calculated at 20. I don't want to talk about numbers because for now, until the report's final, but the Lanjaron plastic bottle comes in the middle. Very close to that is actually a little bit higher carbon footprint is the local plastic bottle. And the reason why, it doesn't make sense, does it? No. Here's why. This plastic bottle is made from 100% recycled PET, 100%. And the local bottle we used in our study was a mix of recycled and virgin PET plastic. And we don't want to talk about any brands, but that is how we came up with that. So this bottle of water that comes from Europe, just based on the fact that it's 100% recycled PET, because it's in a ship container with 46,000 other bottles, comes down to a less carbon footprint than something made locally with a mix of our PET and regular PET.
It's good research.
Very interesting. And then the final number we're going to talk about is a glass bottle this size coming from Europe, 330 ml from Europe, which was 6 to 7 times the amount of carbon footprint because the glass is very energy intensive.
Did I hear you right?
6 to 7 times. By far, that was the highest carbon footprint out of these four options.
Glass production, heat, and everything like that.
Exactly. Incredible. And then heavy to move around. So
it's also heavier.
So a lot of people say glass is, the winner. Well, there's never a clear winner. We always have to take a big picture view and be balanced. But at the end of the day, what I like is at this point is taking a bottle made from recycled PET, never in the heat, shipped so that it's not in the heat, because you don't want plastic mixing with your water by far. But very important that after you're done with the bottle, it gets taken to a plant to be recycled again. And that's exactly what this company does. They actually pick it up and take it to degrade in Kizad, because the warehouse is next to the recycling factory, so that it gets recycled and lowers the carbon footprint. So it's a very interesting study that was done there.
That is enlightening. I mean, the completely counterintuitive. We automatically think, aside from the municipal water, but normally you'd think, well, I purchase a bottle locally and, it's the plastic and all right, but the carbon footprint should be relatively low. But instead, the research shows something different.
Well, at the end of the day, it's fairly similar, a little bit higher than the bottle imported. But that, again, it depends on how much PET, how much recycled PET is in the bottle. So I guess the message is find out how much recycled PET does your bottle use if the carbon footprint is your top priority.
Interesting. On the topic of bottled water, we often also worry about the nutritional aspects. In particular, I know that minerals are important in the water that we drink. Is there a similar characterization? You're smiling about this, so there must be a good answer.
Well, Steve, you and I were talking earlier about you're from the Dolomites.
That's right.
Where they have great mineral water. Again, I always like to take a balanced view. We live in the desert, and here we have desalinated water because the water's too salty. That's clean and safe. We're very fortunate to be able to have clean water in the desert.
Right.
It's a blessing. But what I say is drink that, but maybe throw in a little bit of natural mineral water every day too, because it is slightly different. And how? Fruits and vegetables are natural mineral water, mostly natural mineral water. So eat local fruits, eat local vegetables, or throw in a little bit of bottled natural mineral water just to get that chemistry from the earth. Because an example of one water, the snow that melts to the mountain, that's H2O. And that H2O bonds. Water is loving, it's bonding. It bonds, it attracts minerals from the earth. Those minerals do chemistry and form compounds. And so that chemistry takes place for many years. And then what the earth pushes back out is natural mineral water. And it's a lot of chemistry done in the earth. So yes, look at the holistic view. We're very lucky. Drink all water. It's great. But if you have the ability, throw in a little natural mineral water or fruits and vegetables as well.
I know that there are some pretty exotic minerals in water, something like chloride and things like that, which are good for the electrical impulse of the heart and so on. So those come from mineral water.
Well, there are minerals added to the desalinated water. I think there was a study done by the WHO, the World Health Organization, in the 80s, and they found a town that switched to purely demineralized water with their energy levels dropping. So they said, let's add minerals back to water. And I think that kind of initiated a culture of adding minerals back to demineralized water around the world, in the United States and Asia. Even the bottled water associations promote this idea of remineralizing water. I was thinking of the bottled water associations are about ozonating the water in those countries, but that's a different topic we could talk about when there's more time.
Right.
About the ozonation of water. The natural mineral water is not always ozonated. That's a whole different topic we could talk about.
Okay, but that would be the little bubbles in the water, the gas?
No, that's not the gas in the water. Ozone is the O3 molecule typically added to certain bottled waters before they close the cap to kill any microbiology. This is an extra safety step.
Okay.
To kill any microbiology prior to closing the cap, and then after it does its job, it converts to oxygen. So it sounds perfect and great. When I drink, most of the natural spring waters in the United States are ozonated, and when I drink it, it tastes bitter to me. It tastes a little bit bitter to me. So I prefer natural mineral water, which is just filtered by the earth, like they do in a lot of the European brands.
Interesting. Yeah, no, we don't add, I think, too many things to them. Although in Italy, we have a preference for acqua gassata, which means, I think it's carbonated, right? That must
Carbonation,
be
you said?
I think so. That's the nature of the gas in there. But I'm not a water.
There's often naturally carbonated sources of water, and other times it's refortified with carbon dioxide. Sometimes it's refortified with carbon dioxide from the source, and other times it's just
added to the bottle.
CO2, yeah.
Correct.
And what's interesting is you can tell certain brands when they have their still water and their carbonated water. If you look at the mineral content, and the mineral content is exactly the same, well, that means they just simply added CO2 to the natural water.
Clearly.
On the other hand, if you look at the two brands that are from the same brand, same source, and you see one with different mineral content from the other, you'll find that the carbonated water will have higher minerals than the still water. That's because the CO2 that's in the earth, in the water, in the earth. H2O plus CO2 equals H2CO3, carbonic acid. That carbonic acid attracts more minerals into the water.
Fascinating science. Fascinating science. The just leaving the topic of bottled water aside, you also have a sustainable farm, which is very unusual as a as a business venture. We're beginning to see them, of course, but how did you get into that? I mean, as an expatriate with a sustainable farm in the UAE, it's quite a story.
It's called local food.
Mm-hmm.
That's a funny story. I was looking at. We wanted to call it local food. It's an organic farm,
Right.
Certified by the UAE authorities as organic. We wanted to call it local food, and I went to the Ministry of Economy, and this beautiful, hearted lady from, I believe from Syria, she was so nice, and she said, "We can't call it local food. You can't trademark that." I was looking at a trademark.
Mm-hmm.
She said, but she was looking on her computer. Local food is available.
Local.
Local. It sounds like local, but it's not local.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking, I speak Spanish. In Spanish,
something
local
different.
means crazy. I said, I love it. So we called it local food.
Local food.
So back to the point of your story is I'm very fortunate to have a very generous and charismatic and wise friend, Emirati, who owns this farm in Gumaf, which is near Swayhan, past Swayhan. If you go from Abu Dhabi, if you did a triangle between Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Al Ain, it would kind of be in the middle of the triangle. But he was growing vegetables, and I was listening to a radio podcast, actually, ironically, and Laura Al-Amer had Slow Foods Dubai,
I remember.
and she talked about the value of organic food. So I got a hold of her, and we became friends, and she taught me a lot about organic farming. And there was another Emirati lady who taught me a lot about organic farming as well in Dubai. And I'm very thankful and blessed that she taught me. And she helped us to kind of get moving in this direction. There's another gentleman from Nahil. I don't know if they want me to say their names, but they're wonderful, good-hearted people who also helped me. He helped me learn how to the basics, the fundamentals. And anyway, we got started based on the fundamentals of organic farming. We're all about the fundamentals. And several years ago, and we kept a simple, long-term plan. Boxes that are either a big family box or a mini box that every week we distribute to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Organic vegetables.
How do you deal with the heat in summer?
Very good question. We don't. The carbon footprint of even if you try to use the best technologies, it's not perfect in the summer here because it's hot. So we chose the strategy. Let's just focus on the environment and only grow in the wintertime. So it's very important to have summer farming for food security, understandably, but we chose to focus more on the route of keeping it lower cost because less energy and less water in the winter,
Of course.
and also less carbon footprint by harvesting and delivering in the wintertime.
Incredible. So does the farm close down or just minimizes operations when someone's there, but it's not farming in the summer?
Right. We minimize operations, and my lead employee goes back to Nepal, and he spends his 6 months with his family, and he helps on our digital efforts while he's there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
The
it's
whole
wonderful. And he
system
taught
works.
himself so much about digital marketing, and I'm very proud of him. His name is Janak Okarti. I'm very proud of Janak.
Oh, it's quite a skill set,
Yeah.
farming and digital.
Absolutely.
Skill set of the future.
Yes.
When you say it's certified as organic, I mean, I think that as a layperson, I intuitively know maybe less fertilizer, but what else is there to make it organic?
You meant, well, of course, everything starts with water, you know. Then you have the organic fertilizer, which is a certified organic fertilizer.
Manure.
Then we use a fish manure,
Fish manure.
which was at one point called the Cadillac of manures. Certified organic fish manure. And then we use sometimes a bio compost to help add the right components to the earth. And to keep the pest away, we're very careful. We don't use anything that might be harmful to the plants or to the humans. And so definitely no. What we use would be things like neem oil. Neem seems to be the go-to for a lot of farmers in the UAE. Neem, because there's the neem trees, and it's so effective. Or for example, if we have slugs, you know, there are some unique methods. Laura is now in South Africa, but she still helps me. She's a wonderful person, and she's available, by the way, if anyone needs help with farming. The one who had the slow food Dubai. She recommended some alternative techniques, natural techniques, to help get rid of the slugs, which were very effective. Using a candle, there's various methods. Yeah.
Does it taste different? Must taste better.
The vegetables?
Right.
Well, that's up to you to decide. This winter, I'll send you some to try. But my customers are very happy. The tomatoes aren't. They don't taste. Let's say. They taste earthy in a way, earthy and dynamic and full of life from the soil. You can taste, and then of course there's a lot of sunlight in this country, so that helps the tomatoes thrive. Yes, and we have a great team of farmers, by the way, too. The farmers run the show. They put their heart into it. The most important fundamental rule that I didn't mention: crop rotation. Fundamental.
What does that mean?
You have to rotate your crops periodically. To ensure that the vegetables don't keep taking the same minerals out of the earth from the same place year after year after year, so to deplete the minerals, because certain vegetable families require certain minerals, mixes of minerals. So if you have the same family there all the time, it keeps sucking the same minerals out of the ground. On the other hand, you have the pest. If you leave the vegetables there long enough, they lose their resistance to pests, because vegetables also have a natural resistance to certain types of pests. So from the pest point of view and from the mineral point of view, it's important to rotate your crop. Very important. The most fundamental rule of farming, organic farming.
Interesting. So tomatoes, then zucchini where the tomatoes were.
You have to rotate it.
Aubergines somewhere. Yeah. So
Got to rotate it.
That's fascinating. I mean, this is not knowledge that the ordinary person, non-farming person, is vaguely.
Well, you have a
aware of.
lot of great, passionate people here in this country who like to do their balcony gardening, and they ask me questions. I'm not the expert on balcony gardening, but I would refer them. There is a Facebook group, I believe, about balcony gardening in the UAE, and a lot of great information there for people who want to try to grow plants on their balcony.
Yeah, I mean, this is also great. Like, choosing water based on the carbon footprint and doing a little something on one's balcony for the environment and for one's home table. These are great initiatives that help us to pitch in whatever measure in the year of COP28.
Absolutely, yeah, yes.
I also wanted to remark and congratulate you on being a published author and having written, indeed, I believe, the first chapter of a recently released book. So, share some details with us about that.
I believe The Journey to Entrepreneurship, published by Abu Dhabi DED and Caxton Publishing. Timothy is great. This book is about the journey to entrepreneurship in Abu Dhabi, and I'm very fortunate. And I just got this. I just found this out 2 days ago, by the way, that I was honored with the first chapter in the book, titled "Abu Dhabi, the home of selfless hospitality."
It is indeed.
Abu Dhabi is so uniquely special. The jewel once people get here, they realize the real jewel is the heart, the generosity of the people and the culture here. Everyone from around the world feels at home here. And so what does that have to do with entrepreneurship? Well, entrepreneurship is tough. It is hard. Most companies don't make it, and you have to work 48 hours a day so that you don't have to work,
more than 48 the next day.
Exactly. Well, they say work 24 hours a day so you don't have to work 8 hours a day. That's what they say. And that's tough and stressful. Well, Abu Dhabi has a way, with all the generosity and kindness and love in the air, it has a way of lowering the stress level. So you can come here and go after your entrepreneurship goals, and they will support you from their heart. It'll make it a much easier path to entrepreneurship because of the culture. You'll be happier taking these big risks and taking on these big challenges here in Abu Dhabi. It's a really great place. Give it a shot. I'm the co-chair of the Micro SME Committee at the American Chamber of Commerce Abu Dhabi. Mm-hmm. And AmCham is actually offering a special rate to those who are micro SME owners to become a member. I'm also the co-chair of the US-UAE Public Affairs Committee, right, where we try to promote the bond and the relations between the people of our two countries.
It's a fascinating insight. I haven't heard happiness as such related to business effort and business success, but I very much think that you're onto something. It's so much easier to deal with pressure, with stress when one's happy. And of course, I concur. The environment in Abu Dhabi is conducive to happiness, and its people are conducive to happiness.
Yes, and I know that the Abu Dhabi DED has been working very, very hard to come up with many initiatives that will support micro SMEs and startups. And I know there are many entities here in Abu Dhabi that will support financially and otherwise this startup arena. So if you have that passion, then maybe on the side dive in.
Maybe I'll do that, Jason. Maybe I'll do that. Well, Jason, it's been wonderful having you here with us today, and very, very enlightening to hear a technical perspective, a somewhat researchy one as well, but above all, the perspective of someone who's out there and has done it and is doing it. So that's a different level of insight, I feel, and we thank you very much. We look forward to a continuation of the friendship with Trends, and welcome back anytime.
Ana jahiz means I am ready. And I wanted to say to all my Emirati friends who might be listening, marhaba sa. Thank you, Stephen.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason.